the direct problem is why diet causes diabetes and insulin resistance. And the discovery that we have made in the model system that we're using is that a high sugar diet directly causes insulin resistance. So I think it's very relevant for today's pediatric population as well as adult population, with the impact of high sugar soft drinks and high sugar diets. And we are learning that these things can determine metabolic set points for individuals that then affect their risk of developing diabetes later on in life. So when I was a medical student, it was unheard of to see a child with type 2 diabetes, but now they're in children's hospital all the time. In fact, the incidence of type 2 diabetes in children now is equal to type 1, which is really incredible. So we would like to understand what the molecular mechanisms are that cause the insulin resistance in response to this high sugar diet.
Well, I guess that's the point where my research picks up, which is with the molecular mechanisms, and particularly looking at gene regulation and how the high sugar diet feeds into the cell, how the cell detects this signal and processes it, draws conclusions from it, and changes its cellular state in response. So that's what we're collaborating on, is really understanding gene regulation, how the sugar itself gets translated into a change in the amount by which each gene is making its product, and hence the state of the cell to a state which is an insulin-resistant state.
What our lab has done is we're very interested, so I'm an endocrinologist. I treat patients with diabetes, and we're very interested in a fundamental question, which is why is sugar bad for cells? And so we developed, it's a complex problem actually. So we know that the risk of developing insulin resistance and diabetes is affected by your inheritance, your family, genetic background. But we also know that it's the environment and what you eat may have even a larger role on your risk of developing diabetes than your genetic risk. So to try and decipher or decode some of how this might work, what we decided to do was we needed a simple model organism, something that we could manipulate. And we turned to the fruit fly. So the Drosophila fruit fly, the genetic tools that are available are unbelievable. One thing from a health standpoint is it's easy to say, well, let's feed our kids better diets and exercise. And I think that's very important. Obviously, that's really a key thing. I think if we understood the molecular basis for why the environment can impact your risk of developing diabetes, because it's very difficult to modify behavior. Maybe we'll be in a better position 5 or 10 years down the road to be able to target specific areas of the metabolism. So we would say, well, if you took a supplement that would affect this pathway, whether it's some nutritional supplement or whether it's a drug, a novel drug, then we can reset the metabolic balance so that you are in a better position to deal with this environmental insult. Really. So a high sugar diet could be considered as an environmental insult. So I think that's the way that I would hope that the research will go, and that will provide insights into things that will actually help people.